Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Gabe. This is my channel, and today we're going to be asking the question, why are you poor? Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Gabe. I hope that you've enjoyed this channel so far and the content that we've been putting out. Our last video was some information on how to buy a car, and so I recommend that you go watch that video. It had some really good content, and I think anybody who's in the process of buying a car, you should probably go watch that video. It was the one right before this one. But today's video, we're going to talk about why are you poor? Question mark. And this really comes from somebody that I was watching on YouTube who talks a lot about being poor and just kind of focuses on the negative aspects of it. And it's not that I didn't agree with what he was saying. I just kind of saw it from a different viewpoint than he did, and so I wanted to talk about it with you today. But first off, we have to establish, what does that even mean, being poor? Now, I have grown up predominantly in a middle-class family, and even though today I run a multi-million-dollar life insurance agency, I still consider myself to live in that middle class. We're working people, we work hard, we work every day. I'm not on some beach every day. I'm not taking vacations every week. And so I work hard. And so that really is my mindset. I don't believe that the amount of money you make or the income that you bring in classifies you as being poor or rich. In today's economy, this is a lot different than maybe even just 20 years ago. Now, I understand there are different levels of income where you're considered lower class, middle class, or upper class, right? Depending on the amount of money that you make. I don't really want to talk about that today. I want to talk about the mindset of being poor. This really has nothing to do with money at all. As a matter of fact, some of the richest people in the world can be very, very poor. So when you clicked on this video, you thought we were going to talk about money, but we're not really. We're going to talk about the mindset of being poor. Now, I believe that poverty is a cycle. It started by one generation who was not able to get out of a certain mindset that they had. So most people who live in poverty, now this is somebody that, let's say you can't afford your house, you can't afford your car, you can't afford to even buy a car. And so you don't aspire to have any of those things because maybe your mom didn't, maybe her mom didn't, or your dad didn't. And so your dad told you, well, we just ride the bus. And so you think, okay, well, in my life, that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to ride the bus. Or your dad said, we don't buy property. We can only afford to rent property. And so you thought, okay, well, I'm never going to aspire to buy a house. I'm just going to keep renting my whole life because that's what my dad did. And this is what I call the cycle of poverty. I don't believe that poverty has a number to it. And I don't believe that being rich has a number to it. But in the cycle of poverty, it says that I'm going to do what everybody did before me because that's the only thing that I've seen and that's the only thing that I know. And so I came from a very middle class family. We were never told that we had any kind of money. My mom shopped at Solo Serve in Montgomery Ward. Y'all remember those places? We did not wear expensive things. We didn't drive expensive cars. And so as I grew up, I thought, well, this is just how we are. This is how we live. I knew that my dad worked hard because he came home after the sun went down every single night. And I would ask him every night, hey, Dad, how did your day go? And he would tell me every night, well, we made a couple dollars. And that was his way of being humble. When in reality, my dad was making over $300,000 a year in the 90s. When you count for inflation, that's over $500,000 a year today in today's money. And I never knew it. Now, we did not have the mindset of being poor, but we also did not have the mindset of living outside of our means or spending more money than we had. And so this is what I saw when I grew up. And so if you're watching this, what you saw when you grow up is probably very instrumental into who you are today and what your view on money is. Some people think that money is negative. Other people think money is positive. I sit right in the middle. I don't think money is negative. I don't think money is positive. I just think it's important to have if you're going to accomplish the things that you want to accomplish in your life. That's not a good thing. That's not a bad thing. That sits right in the middle. Another thing that I want to talk about is how do you break the cycle of poverty in your life? Now, that may sound corny, but it's real. That's a real question that you might have to ask yourself one day. Most people answer this question by, well, I'm going to be the first one in my family to go to college. And let me tell you, I think that's a great inspiration to have. And if you think that you need that education in order to get you to where you're going, then by all means, if you are aspiring to be a doctor, yes, you're going to need to go to college. If you're aspiring to be an attorney, yes, you're going to need to go to college. If you're aspiring to be some, unbelievable scientific person that discovers the cure for cancer, yes, you're probably going to need to go to college. However, when I think about breaking the cycle of poverty, I think about going beyond anything that you've ever had and pushing past that barrier. And when I think about that, the first thing that comes to my mind is I'm going to need money in order to do that. Let me tell you, sales is a great vehicle for you to break that cycle of poverty that you've had in maybe your family or your family's family. If you can sell something, then you can make a lot of money doing it. If the first year that I sold cars, I made over $100,000 and I didn't even know what I was doing. I had a great management team behind me. I came to work every day and I was really hungry. Not because I had a cycle of poverty in my life, but because I wanted to push that barrier of things that I've never had in my life. And at the time, I was about to get married and I wanted my wife to be comfortable. I didn't want her to have to work. And so I knew that I was going to need to make more money. Another thing that we don't talk about a whole lot are the financial decisions that we make with the money that we have. If you're somebody who's making between $30,000 and $50,000 a year, well, you're considered middle class here in America, which means that you don't have too much and you don't have too little. You have just the right amount to drive a car to work, to live in a house every night, and to make sure that your family eats. Now, that's one place that many people get comfortable. Another thing that we don't talk about a whole lot are the financial decisions that we make with the money that we do have. Listen, you can make $200,000, $300,000 a year and be poor. It's possible. It happens every day. You can make $50,000 or $60,000 a year and be financially set because you know how to make good decisions with your money. And so this is something that we don't talk about a lot because it's not a sexy topic to talk about. But if you don't know how to spend your money, if you find yourself buying the new Yeezys every time they come out, or heading down to buy things that you don't need every time you can afford to do that, then you probably need some help making better financial decisions. The first video that we did was I berated a guy, his name is Dave Ramsey, because he didn't know what he was talking about when it came to life insurance. However, that same guy, Dave Ramsey, is a great financial coach for people who don't know how to spend their money wisely, who don't live on a budget. Listen, I don't care if you're a multi-millionaire. Most multi-millionaires live on a budget because they understand that there's a greater good that they can do with excess resources instead of going out and blowing it on whatever they can afford. Just because you can afford something doesn't mean that you actually need to afford something. And so if you're somebody who's constantly getting caught in this cycle of not having enough money by the end of the month and you're just barely scraping by to get to payday, you probably need some help from a financial coach or somebody or some system that can help you get on the right track of being responsible with the money that you do have. Listen, I've been there. At one point, about 3 years ago, I was making 6 different car payments a month. That's a lot of money. That was almost $15,000 a month that I was spending on car payments. This was ridiculous. I was out of control. And I learned my lesson, okay? I lost a lot of money on those vehicles when I finally came to my senses and I started to get rid of some of them. And so this can happen to anybody. I went from making, $5 or $6 or $7,000 a month to making between $15,000 and $20,000 a month. And that was a big jump for me, and I didn't know how to control myself. So it can happen, okay? I'm not coming from a place of not knowing what I'm talking about. I've been there, and I want to help you understand that you can break these cycles. They're just cycles, then they happen almost every month. We get into this cycle of I get paid, I spend too much, I don't have enough, and I'm waiting to get paid again. And so I want to help you get out of that. Another thing that we don't think about when it comes to financial freedom is, how am I going to elevate my income? Now, this is very important because there's certain ways to do this, okay? I listen to a lot of different guys, and right now, I'm gonna be honest, my favorite, his name is Grant Cardone. He just really, he talks about things that make a lot of sense to me. You might listen to him and he may not make any sense to you. But one thing he says is that he doesn't want to make more money. He wants financial freedom. And in that idea, there's not a number to get to, okay? It's always about elevating the income that you're bringing in every month. So let's take example. Let's say you're making $5,000 a month. You're making between $48,000 and $60,000 a year. Now, let's say that job only takes up 40% of your time, okay? From 9 to 5, you're in somewhere every day making that amount of money. If you want to elevate your income, it's not necessarily about getting a promotion and getting a raise and how do I go from making 4 to 8. It's about using that money to make more money. So if that job is taking about 40% of your time, how do you take that money and take another maybe 20% of your time to reinvest that money and make between $2,000 and $3,000 a month on the 4 or 5 that you're making already, which if we add that together can come out between $7,000 and $9,000 a month. And what would that do to your financial situation? Would you be able to have financial freedom? Listen, everybody has a different number on what that means to them, but it always comes down to this. How much money are you making this month? Let's say that right now you're making only between $2,000 and $3,000 a month. You're probably always strapped for cash. You probably are always concerned about the next financial emergency that's about to happen, and you're not going to be able to pay for it. What do you need to do? You need to leverage your time, the extra time that you have, learn how to be financially smart, and take every dollar that you can and use that, reinvest it into something else. That could be opening a part-time lawn mowing job where you go out on Saturday and Sunday and you start mowing people's yards, and that can turn into an extra $2,000 or $3,000 a month. That could be learning how to drop ship on Amazon, where you're buying items and then you're buying them from Amazon and you're reselling them on Amazon at a higher cost. There's tons of different ways to make a little extra money every month. And if $2,000 or $3,000 or $4,000 extra a month would change your financial dynamic. Listen, I know that when I was selling cars, I had a general manager and he was tough, okay? He was very tough. If he saw you standing around, he would come and ask you, hey, why are you standing around? And some guys took this in a positive and some guys took this in a negative, and they just quit because the manager was so mean to me. But you know what it did to me? It kept me accountable for my time. So if he saw me sitting at my desk twiddling my thumbs like I'm doing right now, he would come and ask me, hey Gabe, what do you have set up today? What do you have working? Who's coming in tonight? What are you doing with your time? And that kept me accountable. And that helped to re-fire me up every day because I knew that I couldn't just sit around. And you know what? In 2009 and in 2010, a couple of the worst financial years that this nation has ever seen, I was salesman of the year back to back. I sold more cars than about 100 guys on our lot. And I did that, number one, with the help of the good Lord. But secondly, I did that with people holding me accountable. Listen, if you're inherently lazy, okay, that just means that you would rather not than you would rather do, then you're probably gonna need somebody to help you stay accountable, because this is something that you can change over time, but it's not gonna happen by you sitting on this couch. It's not gonna happen by you watching YouTube videos all day. Although don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to this channel. But it's not gonna happen on your phone. It's gonna happen by you going out, finding something that you can do and that you're good at, and learning how to leverage that into making more money than you are right now. And if you're happy where you're at, by all means, click the like button and subscribe. But if you are looking for financial freedom, I'm gonna tell you, you need to, number one, get a budget, okay? Get a budget, write down the things that you have to spend every month, and write down the things that you don't have to spend every month. And then wipe that list out. So all that money that you don't have to spend can go into an account where you can use that. And secondly, learn how to use that money and leverage it to make more money. Does this mean you may have to take on a second job? Maybe. Does this mean that you're gonna have to work more hours than you are right now? Maybe. But I promise you, it's worth it. It can help not only you, but it can help the generation behind you break that cycle of poverty in your life. Listen, I go to a church that has lots of young people who have lived in this cycle of poverty their whole life. And one thing that is impressive and one thing that gives me hope for this next generation is that a lot of these young people are tired of it already. They're tired of watching mom cry every night because she doesn't know how she's gonna pay the bills. They're tired of dad stressing every day and being angry every day because he doesn't know how he's gonna pay the bills. And these young people are telling themselves, I don't wanna be like that when I get there. When I have a family, I want us to have more than enough than we need. I wanna be smart with my money. I'm not gonna go out on Friday night and blow $100 on beer and whatever else you blow it on. You go to the club or whatever that may be. This next generation has seen the previous generation struggle so much. They don't want that anymore. And let me tell you, I'm not one of those, okay? My dad was always very successful, but I have seen it time and time again, and it can happen. You can break that cycle of poverty in your life. You don't have to be poor, because poor is a mindset. Poor is not a number. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. It's one of the more serious ones that we've had. But listen, I told you, we're gonna talk about anything that has to do with money. If you have something that you want us to talk about on this channel, put it in the comments below. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to this channel. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers, and the 1,000th subscriber is gonna win something really cool. So help me get there, we'll get there together. But once again, guys, my name is Gabe, this is my channel. We'll see you on the next video.